Well, here we are with a very ugly little 52 Ford. Small block disappearing into the engine bay. Way too high off the ground. And we've been asked to make it look cool. Tall order. Tall order. But let's see what we can do.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.
Bill, he's a good old boy. He's building this car with his grandson and for his kids. And it just, he had a guy do a subframe on it, and it's a early Nova, well, not early, it's a late Nova, 75-ish Nova subframe in the front here, I believe. We don't exactly know, but it could be that. It could be a number of different ones, but I believe that's what it is, just by the width and whatnot. If you'll notice, the motor's really far down in there, and you'll see the alignment of the water pump pulley is pretty much the bottom of the radiator. Now, could you work around that, and would that be okay? Probably. There's a considerable amount of room above the transmission. The other thing about the subframe is they just went ahead and put it underneath the frame. Instead of taking this lower section off, they left it on there and what I'd call glued it underneath the frame. Last night, can't sleep thinking about this. I'm not liking it. The vibe on the whole build is just off because it just doesn't seem right. You know, I don't like sending stuff out that isn't right. Our customer here is on a strict budget, but he's a painter. So worst case scenario, I have him paint some stuff for me, and I have plenty to paint around here, and I don't really care for the paint work, as you know. You know, he's the one that painted the red in here and stuff. He's a good painter. So we're gonna have to first things first is making more room for this distributor. We're going to figure out how much we're going to be lifting this up. We'll measure up here, see how far we have to take out, make that right, repaint it, and then we're going to cut that subframe free and move it up. The reason we're going to do this first is because it'll be harder to paint and harder to work in that area when the subframe is up. What I want to do is get the stance right on this car first, and then we'll chop it. You know, if we can only get it X amount low, then we can't go with a real heavy chop. If it's laid on the ground, yeah, you can go with a heavy chop, but we're not doing air ride or anything. This is gonna be static, so I might actually move that subframe forward a little bit. I like that front wheel to sit forward in the wheel well, and making sure that it isn't sitting back at all. It's better to set it forward. It looks nice, it has a nice flow, and if we really get to it, I would like to open up these wheel wells a little bit. It's something I do on most of my builds like this, and I think it would also look good on this car. So enough talk, let's cut this up. That is the plan. So what I got is I'm gonna move this an inch forward, so the subframe, the wheels will move an inch forward in this wheel well. The reason I like to move them forward because it kind of comes up, the wheel comes up, and then it opens up in the back, and it makes it look really nice. It's a classy touch, and I think that this thing could use all the class it can get. So this piece is going to be right where our X is here. This is going to come up 3 inches in here. So that's why I kind of stepped it up there, so then we don't get into our firewall here, and we're gonna have to cut out this brace that sits on the top of the frame. I don't think it's quite sitting right anyways. And this is on, of course, both sides of the frame. We're gonna take it to where this bottom leg here isn't on the bottom of the frame anymore. The bottom of the frame is going to come up to the bottom of the frame, and this is just going to be taken off. I'm also going to get rid of our inner fender well that is going to hit the frame right now, so that way we're not getting hung up on stuff. We're going to try to keep the car together as we can, just out of really expense. I'm trying to do the best I can to keep this inexpensive as possible for this customer. So now you can kind of see what we got here. That part is going to come up right into where that square is. This little part is going to come up right into this area. So that's kind of our game plan. I just have the bottom cut here to make and the top cut. It's kind of hard to say because there's so much overlapping in there, and all his, you know, plates and the frame crossing through there and the original frame in there. There's a lot going on inside this area, of course. So my plan is to cut the bottoms, then cut the tops. I kind of tried to cut these to where it would come into a level piece. So that's about where that needs to be. So we'll just clean up those welds. Need to clean off these edges. They're sharp. And these guys are all sharp, sharp, sharp. I kind of have it all set up to where this goes right back in. And so if I try to get rid of that, it's kind of losing my set point. But this is all going to end up being taken off. So I think if we just clean up those, that'll be okay.
Okay, am I good to come down to the hair more?
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty much there. And look how that 3-inch just came in here and was just a-okie dokie with everything. Someone did their measurements. It was me. Except for right there, that might need to come out a little bit. It was me. And look at that front.
That motor.
You get that wheel a little bit further forward in there, and it looks like that's not center, but if you put it in center, it just always looks like it's too far back. So that's 1 inch forward. That's all I did, and it just makes that whole thing look so much better. So much better. So much better. And that's our height basically with weight. Because we still got our motor in there. So a little bit of boopity boop and jazzy wow. She's gonna be there, dog. All right, screw this. He had this welded on, and then he had this fat round bar. I don't even know where that's from or what that is. Welded in here as like some sort of gap support thing, and then it's just solid welded on both sides. And then he put angle iron on the side of it and welded that up to the side. And listen, no car ever came with angle iron on it. None. There's no room for angle iron on vehicles. Don't custom with angle iron. Just don't. I mean, the torch was the only way to get that off of there. And luckily I'm a little bit of a seasoned vet with a torch. Because holy cow. It's so hot under there right now. And I don't think I nicked the rail. That's another thing, is that frame rail's running there, and I'm blowing this fat welds off of this frame rail, and if I blow into the frame rail, that's going to be a hard repair. You're going to have to cut out a square, you know, and replace that section at minimum, you know. And so I don't think I hit it anywhere. I don't think I nicked it anywhere, but holy cow, there was, let's see, probably 1, 2, 3 feet of weld that I had to get that torch close to. And a lot of the stuff I was torching is way thicker than that frame rail, so it would just take a little touch and you're through that frame rail. But I'm not going under there, back under there, until tomorrow.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.